H-Track all-wheel drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
If your girlfriend sends you a long, heartfelt text pouring out her feelings, just reply K.
Drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
If your girlfriend sends you a long, heartfelt text pouring out her feelings, just reply
Subscribe and like us today. First choice for Sports Talk Live.
Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for Sports Talk Live from the First Coast.
I'm gonna go pump some gas. You need anything out of here? Chips? Something to drink? Mountain Dew? Oh, I'll give you all right. What drink? I was paying for gas, brother. You better drink your spit.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold? Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Amazon Prime members now get free grocery delivery with a minimum order. You'll get your groceries with 2-hour delivery. So in that time, you can finally figure out where the biblioteca is, learn how to play the acoustic guitar, and I guess get a puka shell necklace. Do a makeup tutorial, but realize halfway contouring is hard, and you're beautiful just as you are. Whatever it is you're doing with your time, your shopper will be carefully picking out your favorite organic meats, produce, dairy, and snacks while providing contactless delivery to your door. Free 2-hour grocery delivery, now with Prime.
Come
CBS Sports Radio, your home for all things sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, coast to coast. Great sports talk expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in socially distanced dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Purpose with the Great Courses Plus. You'll have unlimited access to enlightening
breath and an empty one. A priest is driving
trial. Sign up at thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio. Remember, thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio.
Irish Jokes Part 1. A priest is driving down the road in Ireland and he gets pulled over by the guards, the police. The guard notices a smell of alcohol off the priest's breath and an empty wine bottle on the ground. The guard says to the priest, what's that you have in there? And he says, it's water. And he says, right, hand it to me. And he smells it and said, sir, this is wine. And he says, oh, God, you're at it again.
I don't know. What are you doing? 10 seconds to try to work that out. Good luck.
Armchair.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the Bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
CBS Sports
Radio Station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station? It's everything.
I like everything. It's always on my radio. We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern Sports Talk. Good afternoon, Mr. Joey Ariola.
Good afternoon, Mac. I don't know much, but I know one thing. What a week we've had between the MLB, the NFL, and March Madness. Let's go. I'm ready to lock in.
Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. It's been a while, and I apologize to anyone who's here at the very beginning. That's why I blew your eardrums out, because it's been a while since I've set this thing in motion. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Howdy, hi, and top of the evening to you. How the hell are y'all today? Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee, sitting alongside Tones and Joey Ariola. Tones, how the hell are you, sir?
Good. We got a loaded sports week. It's a loaded sports weekend. We've had a boatload of news. I can't wait to dissect it all with you gentlemen. MLB, NFL, March Madness. Oh, baby.
And we got breaking news. Chris Bryant to the Rockies, $182 million over 7 years. So there you go with that. Mr.
Wow.
Joey Ariola, how the hell are you?
Good. And I wonder with that contract right there, Rockies kind of seem in one of those odd positions right now, but I guess they need a face of their franchise, and maybe they just did that right there with this contract.
Well, he's a West Coast guy. He's a Las Vegas guy, not that far from Colorado. It really does make a lot of sense. I've been seeing him being talked to about. I think he was headed to Seattle, but when Seattle pulled off the trade from Cincinnati, that killed that deal. So there were essentially three suitors. You had Philly, you had Colorado, and you had San Francisco. Philly got their guy today in Shorber, so they go and get Bryant and leave San Francisco odd man out. Some people have put the rumbling out there that could be the mystery team for Freddie Freeman. I doubt it. I think it's Los Angeles. I think it's Boston. I think that's pretty much it. Could sneak in San Diego, but there have been rumblings that could be the mystery team that's holding all this up. So we'll see what happens. Okay, let's dive into the NFL first. Free agency. We've got so much to get into. We're only going to do an hour show today, y'all. We're going to start being here on Thursdays. The reason why we're here today, I have a high school baseball game that I'm broadcasting tomorrow, so I won't be here. I'll be down at it's actually at the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp baseball park.
Nice.
4 o'clock. I'll share the link in this thread if anyone wants to check it out. But long story short, that's where I'll be tomorrow. Gentleman asked me to help him get get that going off the ground tomorrow. So we're going to see where that takes us. He did play-by-play for SMU basketball for years. So I'm excited to see what that entails. I'll tell you what, it is very difficult to find information on high school baseball on the net. I thought there would be a little more access to batting averages, et cetera. There is not. So,
good luck to you.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm doing the color tomorrow, so he'll be doing the play-by-play, but we'll see what happens. But looking forward to that Fleming High School baseball tomorrow at the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp minor league stadium. So, all right, let's get into the National Football League. Normally, we're going to be here on Thursdays. We'll be here at 6:30 to 7:30 until baseball season starts. So we'll be here until first pitch. If it's a later first pitch, we'll probably start the show later, but we'll keep you up to date. Follow our Facebook, follow our Twitter, get your head out of your ass, and that's where you'll because we're not going to do a 3-hour pregame show if we decide to do a later broadcast. Okay, I don't care where we go. That's why I didn't give y'all a hard skeleton today. There's so much crap to talk about. I'm going to throw it to Tones. I know he wants to talk about his boy coming back and playing one more year. Tom Brady. Go ahead and get the ball rolling, Tones, because this is I think a lot of people, me included, saw it coming. I thought it would take him a little longer to do it. I thought he would do it probably like shortly after the draft. But everyone, he was my MVP last year. I would not have voted for Aaron Rodgers. I would have voted for Brady. You don't retire when you're the most valuable player in the league.
Correct. And I mean, I think he realizes that he would be on his couch next fall on Sundays, looking around the NFL, realizing that he's still better than 90%, 95% of the quarterbacks playing in the National Football League, if not better than all of them. And the thing that Tom Brady did real good in coming out of retirement is he announced it the day before the legal tampering period, aka the real free agency period, opened in the NFL. What that allowed him to do, he called Ryan Jensen. He said, "Hey, Big Red, you're not going anywhere." He called Buccaneers quarterback Carlton Davis. He said, "Hey, Carlton, keep locking people down in Tampa." He made those things happen. There's a report that came out today. He talked to new Buccaneers wide receiver Russell Gage. Bucs agreed to a 3-year, $30 million contract, $20 million guaranteed with former Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Russell Gage. Russell said he was getting interest from plenty of teams. All of a sudden, Russell Gage gets a call from Tom Brady saying, "Hey, Russell, I really want to play with you. We're building something really special down here in Tampa. Come join us." What did he do? He joined him. And the Buccaneers, sure, they lost Ellie Marpet to retirement. They lost Alex Kappa to the Bengals. But they upgraded in guard and got Shaq Mason, right guard from the Patriots. He's been Brady's blocker for so long back in the day. Then obviously 2 years away from Brady, ranked as the 4th best guard in all of football last year. He makes his way to Tampa for only a 5th-round pick. And the Bucs have only lost Jordan Whitehead besides the fact. So the Bucs are having a really good free agency, and it's all thanks to Tom Brady coming back right when he did. Because if he waited any longer, a lot of these guys might have been out the door.
I've got a weird feeling Tones doesn't have his pants on right now. He is excited. I'm excited for him, man. You're the first person I thought of when I saw that. I was like, all right, I can now not have to be on suicide watch for Tones.
Hey, we had 2 years of really good days. I thought we went back to the basement, but we were only in that basement for about 40 days, baby. So ready to ride again.
Well, we will keep your head out of the oven for one more year. It looks like one more year.
Next off season, reach out to me, and I might not be an.
I don't think I've got a feeling that he plays 2 more years. I just do, because unless he has a huge drop off next year, and he's like, dude.
And Joe Bucks fan, take him for a credible source or not, he's been covering the team for about 20 seasons now. He said that all these offseason moves have the feeling of a 2-year comeback for Brady. So he's in agreement with you, Mac.
Yeah, I just feel like that's where it's at. I think now whether will he win the Super Bowl, I mean, who knows? I'm not betting against him, but he's also in the easier of the 2 conferences. Why wouldn't you want to come back? Who really stands in your way right now? Aaron Rodgers. That's the list. Now you can argue the Rams with Stafford, but I'm not a believer that that's a team that is going to do it 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
I think you're gonna have a fall off. I think you're gonna. I mean, look, OBJ. We don't even know if he'll even play next year. There's just a lot of moving parts there, and though they have talent, they don't feel like a team that's ready for domination. So you got the Packers, and then of course wherever Deshaun Watson lands, because I do believe Houston moves them to the NFC and not the AFC. I mean, I would, if I were Deshaun Watson, if I were the Texans, I wouldn't want anything to do with them in my conference, but that's me. All right, Joey, you get the next microphone. What do you want to talk about with all this NFL free agency?
Well, why not? Since we're brothers, feed off each other. Unfortunately, mine will be in the opposite regard. He got Tom Brady, best quarterback of all time, back. And I sit here without a quarterback at the moment. Now, you just brought up Deshaun Watson. Very interested to see where that happens, because if Atlanta happens, obviously Matt Ryan's on the move. I think regardless of if Cleveland's in the picture or not, that Baker Mayfield could be on the move now as well. So the quarterback market, all of a sudden, we're in that round 2. We saw Aaron Rodgers go to the Packers. What happened? The domino effect. Wilson to the Seahawks, Wentz to the Commanders. Now, I think once you get this Deshaun Watson news of whether he goes to Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina, Cleveland, other quarterbacks are going to be available. We've seen Jimmy G mentioned a lot to this point. I'm not quite sure if that's just going to just happen just yet. We've seen Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston mentioned in free agency. That's more of a 1-year trial run to be on the cheap. I'm Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan. I'm going to sign up for either one. What's up?
We got breaking news here, fellas, in the NFL world.
What do we got?
Von
Brady
Miller
is retired again.
Von Miller is a Buffalo Bill.
Wow.
Good move for them.
So I'll reiterate what I just said. The Rams will feel like a team that's going to repeat. I mean, come on now. I mean, that's a telling tale right there.
Holy crap. 6-year deal, $120 million.
Whoa.
120?
6-year deal, $120.
Von Miller?
Von Miller. According to Ian Rappaport.
Does it say how much is guaranteed?
It does not at this time. All it says, there's a lot of logistics in contracts, so we'll have to keep our eye out on that.
Sure. Okay. Well, hey. I mean, that really is huge news. If you look at the grand scheme of it all, I don't know if he's worth that because he's towards the end now. I say he still has a couple of great years left, and then you're going to see a decline. But if not a lot of it is guaranteed, then who cares?
I agree with you.
Now,
what were you gonna say, Joey?
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you two and open up, because I mean, obviously, there's many different directions to go. Say Max says NFC. Let's say he goes to Atlanta, Deshaun Watson, and you're the culture sitting there looking at Matt Ryan, you're looking at Baker Mayfield, you're looking at Jimmy Garoppolo, Mariota, and Winston. What do you think the Colts are smart in doing? Making a trade where you have to give up a little capital for a Mayfield or a Matt Ryan, or do you think they go the cheaper route in free agency? What would you envision them doing with a lot of good pieces around, but no quarterback? So what does it matter?
I'll let Tones answer that first, and then I'll give mine.
When I look at the Colts, I mean, I feel like they've been so close to winning, and they're not totally reconstructing their roster. They're actually bringing back a lot of familiar faces. They're actually shedding some older guys off, like Jack Doyle retired. Will a guy like T.Y. Hilton be back? You never know. Marlon Mack is gone. So when I look at the Colts, I think they're honestly a quarterback and a wide receiver or top tight end away from really heavy competition, especially after the Yannick Ngakoue transaction that happened today. I think that the Colts need to go out. I think the Colts need to bring in a Matt Ryan, or to me, a Matt Ryan or Jimmy Garoppolo type fit their offense. I wouldn't hate a Baker Mayfield move by any means. He has the most potential and years left in the tank for sure. But if the Colts want to win and try and win now, they go out and get a veteran. With that being said, the AFC is loaded, so the Colts may prefer the Baker Mayfield route, and hopefully they'd have their QB for years to come, which they haven't had in quite some time.
Jimmy G might be the cheapest route, or Matt Ryan. The thing about Baker Mayfield, once again, are they going to want to trade him to the AFC? That's a big question mark.
True.
What's going on in their mind? I agree that Baker Mayfield gives you the most upside. The problem is, what are they going to ask for, right? As opposed to you go get a Jimmy G and you draft somebody and you cultivate them and get them ready to roll. They're a really good team. They just don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, sure.
That's a problem in the NFL, but that was their issue last year. They were a really good team. They just didn't have a quarterback, and they almost made the playoffs.
Yep.
So you're looking at a situation. I don't think they're going to draft high early for a quarterback. I think they would try to get some guy that's going to be falling around the third or fourth round, something like that, and try to groom him. So you go get yourself a Jimmy G, you go get yourself a Matt Ryan. How much does Matt Ryan have left in the tank? That's up for debate.
Yep.
But I think Jimmy G gets a bad rap, and I think Jimmy G could win on a team like the Colts.
Yeah, and I mean, Jimmy G has been the hottest topic because the 49ers had to get under the cap today. They found ways to do it without having to use anything with Jimmy G. And it's looking like, a mid-round pick. If let's say it's a third or a fourth rounder or straight up for Jimmy G, I almost think as long as he's healthy, which is always a big question mark with him, he's the safer play. He makes the easy throw, and he can command the Colts to a 10-win, maybe 11 playoff season, what Carson Wentz couldn't do. Carson Wentz's arm's bigger. He has, the more legs. Obviously, Jimmy G's more of a statue with the not as big of arm, but we need that safe play. When you have one of the best running backs in O-line and now a good defense, as Tone said, we added Yannick Ngakoue today in a trade. I think that was huge, and hopefully the Colts get propelled forward. But, man, so much news to talk about. This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, other things. Well, I don't even know what the hell I did with my piece of paper. There it is. I had a list, and then I had an issue at the beginning of the show today, and had to throw it off to the side. Where's Deshaun Watson going to go? If you had a guess right now, Tones, where's Deshaun Watson on opening day?
It sounds like to me, out of all, Atlanta. I think Atlanta.
He's at home watching the game because he's been suspended. Okay.
I think the Falcons, and they're bringing in Jarvis.
Fun one, wouldn't it?
They're bringing in Jarvis Landry for a visit as we speak, and it seemed like just yesterday it was Panthers or Saints, and the Panthers beat writer just tweeted minutes ago. Sheena Quick of Fox Sports said, "This is a 28-3 type comeback in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes." I'll leave it at that. So she's referencing the Falcons. Does that mean the Falcons blew all their leverage or is gaining all the leverage? I think they're in the middle of gaining the leverage right now, and I think they're going to try and bring guys like Jarvis.
If you're Deshaun Watson, you like the nightlife, you like the boogie, you're going to pick Atlanta over Carolina.
Correct.
And it's more where he's from too, right? I'm pretty sure he was down in that area.
That as well. He is from Georgia.
And Will Fuller might go there too, they said.
Now, the other thing would be the Saints. The Saints, look, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm looking at a couple of things. A, I would have loved to have gone to Minnesota, but that's off the board with the extension with Cousins. B, Cleveland's a really attractive offer, but will they trade them to the AFC? So let's just eliminate AFC teams and just say that it's only NFC teams. Atlanta's got Kyle Pitts. You're talking about Fuller. You're talking about Landry. This year they won't have him, but eventually they will have Ridley back, right? Or at least we think they will. There's some attractive things going on there with the Falcons, and they play on the turf. He could absolutely ball out. The other thing would be if you go to the Saints, Michael Thomas, I would think, is going to finally be back. I mean, he's only been gone for a decade.
Oh.
And Alvin Kamara. You've got some real, and they've got a pretty good defense, and they're essentially going to run the same system that they had with Sean Payton.
The Bills are stacking right now, gentlemen. They've just come to agreement with O.J. Howard.
Okay. That's not a bad one. I wouldn't jump up and down on that. He has he's been very up and down in his career, but that's not a bad one.
But going to your what I want to talk about with Watson, you mentioned Tones brought up Atlanta. I'll go with the argument for New Orleans for this sake. I do think Atlanta is probably the front runner, but Louisiana in a bad spot for him. It's more down south. He'll play in a dome. You got Alvin Kamara there, like you said, with Michael Thomas, hopefully finally coming back. I think in a great culture for winning lately over the past decade and getting consistently seed in the playoffs. That'd be a great move for the Saints. You want to talk about going from Sean Payton and Drew Brees for so long? Dennis Allen, Deshaun Watson doesn't sound so bad at the end of the day if you can make that happen. And I feel like they were the first team to get the visit. They might. I feel like they're still really big in the picture, and I could see no matter where, it's probably the NFC South. But I'm going to make it a little pitch for New Orleans.
Is it me? Or has the NCAA tournament taken absolute backseat to the baseball and football free agency? I've never had this happen. Look, they've crossed over before, but I've always been much more excited for the NCAA tournament than anything else at this time of year. But there is so much coming at us, 100 miles an hour, that I'm at the point now where, and by the way, there's a basketball game tonight, right? Now, I don't know if I'll change a little bit when the actual tournament starts tomorrow.
Correct.
And maybe it's because my team sucks and didn't make the tournament. And then I don't even have the rooting against interest that I normally have where I'm pulling, I'm usually pulling against the Gators and for my Seminoles. They both suck. They're both out of it.
Right.
So that's kind of gone. And I really don't feel, and I pulled for Duke for years as basically a side girl, but never over Forsay. Krzyzewski did some things over the last couple of years that kind of turned me off on him. So I'm not as diehard with him anymore. And I don't feel like that team's going to, we'll get more into the NCAA tournament, but I don't feel like that team's going to go as far as they're seeded. This has consumed me. Like it kind of snuck up on me today. Oh yeah, that's right. The game tipped off. I had NFL, ESPN, and MLB networks running when we started the show, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There's a ball game on. Because I'm consumed with who signs who, and to kind of put a cap on the NFL free agency, because we've got to get into baseball here in a minute. What about the Jaguars spending spree?
Belky is having himself a payday or spending spree.
I mean, just about the time I think they're done, they're not done. The Jaguars have absolutely just went on a spree. I woke up to Jaguars news again this morning. Now, look, I know that they're not landing the big household names that everybody gets excited about, and there's some people up in arms. I keep seeing the tweet, you can't give Christian Kirk 4 years, 84. It's actually 72. The 84 is incentives. But he's a solid receiver. He's a good receiver. Now, he's not DeAndre Hopkins or Devontae Adams, et cetera, et cetera. But guess what? Those guys weren't available out there. And I don't think they're terribly overpaying him. Do you?
I mean, like you said, the market gets reset every year. The cap, by the way, went up. COVID, it kept it a little down. Now the cap went on its way up. So you all have to look at things from 5 years to 10 years ago to now. And the receiver market just wasn't there with the grade A's. But I will say this, I like what they're doing. Peterson's coming in here and he's saying, you know what? I'm not trying to wait forever to win. Let me build my O-line. Let me protect Trevor Lawrence a little bit. Let me get a couple more weapons and let's have an exciting pass game. Defensively, obviously, they lost Miles Jack. He went on to Pittsburgh. They got to do some things there, but I do really like the offensive direction they've gone in. And Peterson, hey, he's a Super Bowl champ, so he knows what it takes to win. I'm not upset with the Jags moves to this point. I like it.
And I think they're doing the smart thing. They're building a core. They know they're not going to go out and win the Super Bowl this year, but you build a core, you get the fans excited that, hey, you can probably compete and win some ball games this year. Jacksonville wasn't just losing last year. They weren't competing. You would turn over there and you go, oh, God, it's 36-17 again. I mean, what the hell am I looking at? I live in this area, and I'm stuck with their local feed is the only thing that you get when they play. So I was watching just Red Zone City. I can't wait to get out of that jail. I guess it's not this coming season, but the following season, we're finally going to get out of that crapola DirecTV.
Saw you posting about that. It was like, oof.
Yeah, we got to go one more year with this. But anyways, I do think it's exciting for them. And then, of course, they're going to draft high. They got the number one pick. And then, of course, every round, they've got the number one pick. So they're going to be able to build more. And look, this was the season you had to endure this past season when you're Urban Meyer. If he hadn't stepped in his mess kit, the guy would be loading up his team as well too. But he couldn't keep his hands and other things out of girls' areas, and so he's gone. But Doug Peterson's going to pay dividends. 3-4 years from now, Doug Peterson's going to be a nasty force in this in the Jaguars, assuming that everyone, and not to mention, remember Jacksonville gets their ETN.
Yeah, they get ETN back. They'll get James Robinson back at some point after suffering an injury last year. They're going to build on that front. And Doug Peterson,
receiving core is going to be so much better.
They got a Super Bowl head coach champion as well.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and switch gears. Get over to the Major League Baseball. By the way, I saw a tweet that was pretty interesting that someone just put up. The Rockies paid. I forgot about this. They paid the Cardinals $51 million to take Arenado, because remember Arenado just signed a huge deal. So $51 million of that's being paid by the Rockies, and they just paid Bryant what 181 or 182, whatever it was. It's going to be interesting to see how that ownership explains being able to spend that kind of money on one guy, right? And honestly, this is a year where nobody would kill the Rockies if they punted.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
I agree with Joey. I think he's trying to put a face on the franchise, and I get that. And he's not far from the area. And I know you're a big Cubs fan, but would you be excited if the Cubs gave Bryant 182 for 7 years? Or would you be like, oh, God, what are we going to do? I'm sorry, but that would be my feeling. I'd be like, oh my God, 7 years. Like the AAV is not terrible, but 7 years, and I know you get the DH, but 7 years.
We've seen this so many times with baseball. We've seen teams do this too much. Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder, Albert Pujols. These mammoth contracts at one point MVP caliber players just.
You know what just happened?
What happened? Matt Duffy to the Angels?
Oh, Freddie Freeman just called his age and goes, no, I know I said I was ready to agree to such and such, but if that sorry bastard got 182 million, I better get north of 200 now. Right? Right?
And
you're going to give Chris Bryant 182. Doesn't Freddie Freeman get 240?
Yeah, the one good thing I will say about Chris Bryant for the Rockies is he could play multiple positions and fill that need as well. But my thing is for the Rockies, I'm wondering when they're going to finally spend the money on a pitcher is what they need at day's end in reality. I know a lot of pitchers don't want to go there necessarily, but overpay the crap out of one. You're going to need to in Colorado eventually if you want to get serious.
And, we brought up one Cub in Chris Bryant. A contract I do like more, Mac and Tones, and for another former Cub as well. Since the DH is universal now and everything, Kyle Shorber on that 4-year deal, I saw that as a much more appeasing. You get a big bat in your lineup. He obviously, without the injury in the last couple of years, he's hit a lot of home runs. I kind of like that deal more, especially being a universal DH at the 4-year, 20 per year. I'm not really worried about the money when it's 4 years because you can make moves if you need to a little bit sooner. So I was a bigger fan of that.
I just think that's a lot of money for Chris Bryant. Especially, if the Dodgers do it, you're like, okay, well, that can put him over the top. But the Rockies, look, everybody's killing the Reds and killing the A's for selling off. But you also have to look at it from the other perspective. If you don't think this is the year that you can make a big push and other teams are getting aggressive because of the extra wild card, why the hell not? I know there's a lot of A's fans that are disappointed. I get it. But think about how good this team's going to be in a couple of years and how long that they can make a run. Because I'll tell you as a Braves fan, they made that trade for Olsen to essentially save face because they knew Anthopoulos basically knew I'm not going to get Freddie. He's gotten out there on the market. And I'm sure he's had some internal conversations with, I told you we couldn't let him get on the market. I told you this, right? But I got to get someone in here to help sell me tickets, because even though we just won the World Series, people are going to be pissed about this Freddie thing. Matt Olson being from Atlanta helped him immensely.
And I think Matt Olson, real quick, he's one of those guys, high character guy. I actually know the kid who caught Matt Olson's first career home run ball. Matt Olson did his first career home run ever in Chicago, and Matt Olson wasn't a jagbag about it at all. He actually told the kid, let's do a family meet and greet. Bring your pops down after. And the kid was a Sox fan who caught the ball. Matt Olson's an A's player, young guy, could be cocky. Brought the kid down, brought his dad down. Kid traded him his first baseball ever. Got a photo shoot with Matt Olson. Got Matt Olson's bat from that day, glove from that day, everything. Just a class act.
And there had to be some kind of conversation with Olson before the trade ever happened. That's why, look, we didn't have a show that day, but the first thing I thought of was to give what Atlanta gave to get Matt Olson. There had to have been a pre-conversation of, look, we want to lock you up long-term. Let's talk numbers. What's realistic, right? And get on the horn with his agent, because they had that thing knocked out in less than 24 hours. That's unheard of, right? And AA knew he wanted to get it into the news cycle. He knew he wanted to get it out there and say, look, let's roll. And Olson's comment was, I jumped at the opportunity, and I listed all the reasons why. Main reason being from Atlanta, family still lives in the area, et cetera, et cetera. I saw a quote where he said something to the effect of, I was the kid sitting in the stands watching Maddox and Glavine and right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, ish. He's pretty young. You know what I mean?
Youngish.
I mean, honest engine, he's probably sitting in the stands watching Freddie. But but his family had to have been diehard Braves fans, living in that area, right? And their son's as good as baseball as they are. And the Braves have always been known for drafting kids, getting kids from the Georgia area. That whole baby Braves from the late 2000s of Brian McCann and Jason Hayward and all those guys, they were all Georgia-born players. Because these are basically kids that grew up watching, or their parents grew up watching, the very good Braves in the 90s and early 2000s, and they basically bred baseball into their kids, and now we're seeing it come to fruition. So I thought that was an incredible move. What's going to go under the radar, because of all this other stuff that's happened today, is they brought back Eddie Rosario today. 2-year deal for a 3rd-year club option. That's the thing about the Olson thing. If they keep talking about it's an 8-year deal, it's actually a 9-year deal, because there's a 9th year club option of like 20-something million. And if he's worth a damn 9 years from now, they're going to pay the $20 million.
Yeah, and I mean, overall, the Braves, like you said, they had to save some face from the Freeman situation where he's going to leave. I think they brought in some great pieces, re-sign a good piece like Rosario. I think, they're going to be up for another good run in that division. You were bringing up a lot of big bats with the Braves there, Mac. I wanted to get your opinion and tones too, because I don't know a lot about this guy. I don't follow the KBO, but this deal with the Cubs Suzuki deal, it's
phenomenal.
It's 100. And I hope it is, because it's $17 million annually, $100 million deal, and his numbers look good. I just want to make sure he's not more of a Kosuke Fukudome, where we all know how that went with the Cubs over versus like maybe a Hideki Matsui or something like that. I just hope
he's
found the right
supposed to have
bat.
pop in his bat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be a guy that hits for a fairly high average. It's pop in the bat. And I'll tell you something that you'll probably get from a player coming over from Japan as well. He puts the barrel on the ball. He's not launch angle guy. He's not swinging for the fence out of his shoes. Listen to this stat, y'all. Mr. Cubbies.
Hit us.
Chris Bryant, Kyle Schwarber, Rizzo, in the last 24 hours have signed for $293 million. If you throw Baez in there, those 4 ex-Cubs have signed for $433 million this offseason.
Hey, they got paid and we got a ring. I think that's a win-win, right? We don't have to pay them and we got the ring. I'm cool with it.
And honestly, the Cubs have done pretty dang good with that money, if I must say, this offseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think getting the kid Suzuki's huge. You also do you realize something too, and that's why I'm surprised that they let him get away from the left coast, because that's normally where these guys sign. You just opened up the Chicago Cubs to Japan. The Japanese viewer is going to watch the Chicago Cubs baseball this year.
Yep.
Because that is big. That is big over there. It's big in any of these countries when they excel in American sports, just like Yao Ming in the NBA. They flock to the televisions. It's not as much like with Dominican, because Dominican and Venezuela, et cetera, they've got so many players.
Right.
But when you only have a few that come over, they become huge fans. I mean, you couldn't walk down the street of Tokyo without seeing a Ichiro Seattle Mariner jersey on in the early 2000s.
Yep, and even Hideki Matsui Godzilla was a big one. I mean, there's like you said, more few and far between.
Even Hideki Arabu, the frog.
I mean,
he wasn't even that good. I mean, okay.
Look at Shohei Ohtani. He has reporters standing on top of buildings, mountains, just trying to get views of him. I mean, these guys. That's why baseball's special. You get guys from Cuba, KBO, Japan, and it makes a big impact.
And you don't see many of these guys that they give the big deals to fail miserably.
No, the only one I could remember is the, couple pitchers maybe, and that kid on the Twins who was supposed to be a big bat a couple years ago.
What was the kid's name that came over to Chicago Cubs years ago? He was an outfielder. Fukudome.
Yep.
I mean, even he was solid for
he was an all-star.
Yeah. I mean, what did you say, about 4 or 5 years? He's pretty darn good.
Yeah, if he didn't fall flat on his face, I mean, he those first 4 years though, an all-star, they made the playoffs a couple of times as a lefty bat, pretty good glove as well. So yeah, I mean, they usually start hot, and we see how long their careers go. I just hope it's worth it on this one, as it seems to be. I still think the Cubs need another bat. I would love to grab maybe a Correa or something. I don't know what's the latest on Correa. Does it sound like he's going back to the Astros?
Well, I don't know if he's going back, but the Astros supposedly are putting together a big time offer. Now, here's the thing with all that. I kind of expect the Freddies and the Correas of the world to be signed within the next 24 hours.
Really?
Because spring training starts tomorrow, by the way, y'all.
Ooh, so much.
All the games. In fact, I believe MLB they don't have their guide updated yet, but MLB Network's carrying something tomorrow because they're doing all their shows early. But that doesn't matter, because 4 o'clock Eastern, you want to watch me on the TV set from
send us a link. Send us a link.
High school baseball. I'm bringing a lot of notes, and they won't be high school baseball related because I can't find anything. Like that was a heck of a throw from home. Kind of reminds me of Brian McCann. Speaking of Brian McCann, the Braves are going to do a hell of a job this year.
A lot of segues there.
Yeah. But the tomorrow there's going to be at least 2 live games on MLB Network, and then there's going to be a bunch going forward. And I've got the MLB app, so I'll get more, but it's not been updated because they changed that whole damn thing.
Right.
But the point is, those I just don't. Once you see the ball being put in play, and I know this has happened really fast, I do believe that Freddie Freeman and Carlos Correa are going to be like, "Can I get on the field? Can I at least get a locker? Know where I'm going?" Look, and I know their agents are probably saying, "Cool it, man. Be cool. Be cool." Because you're going to make a decision that's going to affect the next 6 years of your life, right? Or even more.
Right.
Because I know Correa is trying to get even a longer contract. There's been talk about Correa going and signing like a 1-year mega deal with the Astros and then hitting the market again. I don't see Freddie doing that. I think Freddie doesn't want to hit free agency at 33, right? I think he's like, I got to find a place to go.
Right.
I'll give you one team. Where's Freddie Freeman going, Joey?
I'm going to go with the Dodgers. I don't think they stop making moves now. I just think they're poised to keep going and going until, eventually this all catches up with you. But I don't see why they stop the train of, being successful, having good teams year in and year out. But they need to get over the knob again and win the World Series. I think they failed to do that the last, season. So here we go. Pony up. get Freddie Freeman, and your team's set for a long time.
Tones, same question. Where's Freddie?
I think the Rays honestly make a compelling offer and sweep him
Really?
Wow.
And I've heard this from Zach Blobner, and I'm not sure how much faith to put in it, but to my understanding, the Rays are the only team at this point to offer Freddie Freeman a 6-year contract, and he's happy about that.
That would be out of character for the Tampa Bay Rays. I feel like the Tampa Bay Ray news has been pushed out there by their agent just to try to
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, well, because hey man, you might go to Tampa. Let's go. Let's get involved here in New York, Toronto, Boston. Teams that actually have fans in the stadiums. I would love for Freddie to go to Tampa. I've never seen them make that kind of financial commitment to one player. So, and remember, his wife's from Florida, I think. So that could, but if I'm going to, he's probably going to go to the Dodgers, but I want to have fun with this. I say Boston Red Sox. They have done nothing this offseason. Nothing. They bring in Freddie Freeman. How fun would that be to watch?
Because that division's loaded.
How fun would it be to watch Freddie Freeman and Rizzo? Same division.
All in.
Besties, right?
Mm-hmm.
Holding hands and stuff in the dugout, right? I think that would be the funnest thing for him to do is go to Boston. Because I'll tell you what, if Boston doesn't sign him, man, I think they're dead in the water. They got the news today that Sales is going to be down for the count. Their best case scenario is that he comes back sometime in May.
And we haven't even brought up Toronto, who, has been explosive I think Toronto, they're going to be making a lot of noise.
Dude, Toronto is going to be so damn good.
So many studs.
And George Springer was really just starting to get his toes wet there last year as well. So, they're going to continue to add and build something special there. I think that one team I'm impressed with who's under the radar this offseason to me, I think the Detroit Tigers have had a really nice offseason quietly in the AL Central. They've traded for Eduardo Rodriguez. They got Tucker Barnhart. They got Javier Baez, obviously, and then they got Andrew Chafin today. Those are 4 pretty good moves, and with AJ Hinch managing in a weak AL Central division, look out for them.
Is Sean got a gun in your back or something? What are the Tigers for? Detroit.
I'm just saying they played some really good baseball to end the year last year, and no team with AJ Hinch managing anything's possible.
I have been impressed by them. I keep waiting for them to be like that dark horse team that grabs a Correa, right?
Oh,
I don't see Freddie wanting to go play in Detroit, but I could see Correa wanting to go play in Detroit and go meet up with Baez. That would be a lot of fun. Look, I hate to tell you, Dodger fans, it's better for baseball if Freddie Freeman is playing east of the Mississippi. It just is. It would be better for baseball or for the NL West if he went to San Diego, because that has been a rumor, because they're trying like hell to move Hosmer and move Will Myers. The problem is nobody wants Hosmer and Will Myers for what they have to pay. So I think they'd have to eat most of their salary. If they eat most of their salary, they're going to be able to afford Freddie Freeman. I really feel like there's 2 main teams that are left. I feel like it's Freddie. It's Boston, and it's LA. LA 1, Boston 2 is how it
And I really wouldn't mind if, somehow San Diego did scoop him and they were able to trade a Hosmer. And if they were to pay some of Hosmer's money, I'd like the Cubs. If, they were rumored at the deadline last year to inquire about Hosmer, I wouldn't mind if the Cubs made a move to try and get him if some of that contract was taken off by the Padres.
Oh, this is ridiculous. McKissick. So did you see where he flop? He went from Buffalo and he said, no, that's it. I'm going to go to Washington.
Yep.
There's just a tweet out by some guy named Tom Rock, works for Newsday Sports. I don't know what that is, but anyways, Adam Schefter retweeted it, and it was retweeted by this other page I follow. There must be something to it. He says McKissick may change his mind again.
Oh my! It's like, dude, what are
is
you
this,
doing?
Brett Favre?
I don't know, but don't you have to be good to be to do?
Yeah, at least be true. Be a Hall of Famer if you're going to do it.
And not only that, that's why the NFL free agency should just open on Monday.
Washington and Buffalo should both go. So both tell them go screw yourself.
Honestly,
go screw. We can find a running back in the draft, and you have fun playing third string down in Jacksonville.
Because I mean, what he maybe, I mean, Buffalo was already good. I don't even get why he would reconsider. It's like I get there loading up. And
the way it was presented this morning, I thought he was like signing his name on the line at 4.
That's how they made it sound.
It's he's getting a lot of publicity for guys.
This is the most you'll hear him be talked about in the news. I guarantee it.
Wherever he ends up, there'll be some clown around June telling you how he's going to be this up and coming fantasy football stud.
Oh God! Well, that person will hopefully come in last in their league.
We had to listen to that last year. I remember he was floating all around Twitter, and there was a couple of guys that I follow in the fantasy world, and they were just all about this guy. I was like, I roll. Any last things that you want to put on the baseball before we switch gears?
Little tiny move. Matt Duffy to the Angels became official. He had a decent year with the Cubs last year after sitting out all of the 2020 season. So the Angels continue to stack. And I found it interesting that right now, this is currently the last year on Joe Maddon's contract in the Angels. It might be a prove-it year for him. If he wins and does well and succeeds there, they might extend him. And if not, they might let him walk. But they've made good moves. They've added a guy like Syndergaard to try and bolster their much-needed starting pitching rotation. So let's see if a couple of these moves like Duffy and Syndergaard help push the Angels to playoff contention and give Joe Maddon an extension perhaps his next upcoming offseason.
The only thing I want to put a bow on is Freddie Freeman did release a letter, I guess you would call it, to social media today to Braves fans, and it's a pretty cool letter. I'll retweet it right now, so that because I know y'all don't want to hear me just read it aloud. But long story short, he had a really cool letter that basically says at the end says, "I love you, Braves country, champions forever," and basically saying when I come back around and play, don't hold this against me, kind of thing, which I don't think anyone in the right mind is going to hold it against him.
No way.
He's just an absolute stud. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put it in the timeline here, and I'll just put a link to it so that if someone wants to read it, they can go to the actual thing and read it. Let's go ahead and move on to did you have anything else, Joey, before we move?
No, I was just going to say a quick comment. The Mets better win this year. That's all I'm going to say. They better win games this year, because if they don't, what a disaster of all the moves they made. They better win. I hope they don't, but they better win. March Madness, I know you're hitting it. Let's do it.
And ignore what I saved, because I mean what I shared, because that was not what it was.
Hey, it's okay. You get a second chance, just like JD McKissick.
Anyways, let's move on to March Madness, because we've got there is going to be the games tonight. You got Notre Dame playing tonight, right?
Against Rutgers, which honestly will be
should be a good game.
Yeah, Ron Harper's son, he leads the way for Rutgers. They've had a pretty good season. They've won some big games. Notre Dame, they had played in a little bit weaker conference, haven't had a ton of big wins, but it's going to be a really good game. And to be honest with you, I could see whoever wins tonight winning another game even. So I think it's worth paying attention to for sure.
Yeah, okay. So I successfully shared it. So anyone that wants to read that, it's in the comment section. Should be a good game. Rutgers is kind of a pesky team, and I believe the Big Ten is by far the best basketball conference this year. So I know Notre Dame's favored by a point or two, but it should be a really good game. I'm excited for that. You could not get me less interested in Bryant versus Rutgers State. I mean, bleh.
If you watched the 16 seeds yesterday, you will not turn this on. I promise you.
That wasn't a terrible game.
I had it sitting like it was on, but it wasn't on. You know what I mean? Like I had it on another device, and I couldn't even tell you which team won. Now I watched the second game. The Indiana game was good, But yeah, I was bored out of my mind.
I can't do it. I mean, the 16 seed, they only won one game for a reason. It's good to see them win their conferences and get in, but it was a little bit of dry basketball for me.
The only thing I can tell you that happened is that the over hit because I bet on the over. And that's all I know.
Nice.
I was just watching the score the whole time. I was like, come on, let's go.
Hey, I remember Bryant was the team from a week or two back where the mini malice at the Palace happened in their conference.
Oh, that's right.
Game.
Versus Wagner, yeah.
That's wild.
That game I was actually watching live, but that was because I bet on the conference champion. So that was the team that started the riot. They had huge odds against them to win the conference championship, and they'd made it to the conference championship. So I was watching that. But once they got it there, I was like, I'm not watching this junk. It doesn't even affect my freaking bracket because it's a it automatically gets moved on. So who cares? If they really want people to get excited about this extra play-in round, they need to add more teams and have more games playing at the same time. Because that's what was so fun about the first 2 days of the tournament. There's so many games going on. There's always one coming down to the wire. You're putting a lot of stock in someone caring about Wright State and Bryant by itself.
Yeah, maybe not a bad idea is if they combine yesterday and today's games into yesterday's slate, then they add 4 to tonight's slate in theory, then like you said,
to kind of stagger the tips, right?
And at that point, people just love basketball. Seeding, when there's a lot of games on, seeding isn't a huge deal because, you'll get a good game at one of the games.
And honestly, if you really want to get eyeballs on it, quit putting these 16 seeds against each other. Nobody cares because they know they're not going very far. But if one of these teams, like a Notre Dame and Rutgers and Indiana last night, those are names, right? Those are names that people know. They may not be having great years this year, but they know who they are, right? And so those are big time names. So I'm
and it stinks how they stagger these games. You get the good game at like 10 o'clock at night almost.
Too. Yeah. Why am I getting the crapola game at the early tip? And by the time my eyes start getting heavy, here comes the actual good game.
Yeah, it's BS.
They should do all 4 games on one day and have if you got to do the 16 seeds, make one of them play early and one play late and vice versa with the others. And then that way I care about one of these outcomes. But honestly, if you really want to get this thing interesting, you need to go ahead and expand it about 4 to 8 more teams and have a bunch of them playing that first day.
I agree with that. I like that concept a lot. And you could get creative with that because then, you don't have controversy. A team like Michigan, who really doesn't belong to me in a non-playoff game atmosphere, they were a perfect
Jack Peterson of the San Francisco Giants.
Hey, I love that.
Hit it into McCovey Cove.
And that's Braves country and that's Cubs country right there going. And that's a good move for them. He brings any clubhouse up in spirit for sure.
Yeah, that ought to be fun because he's going to be right there in the thick of the rivalry.
Yeah, them and the Dodgers could, get smack dab in the middle with that.
I'm a little surprised that he didn't. Well, there may not just be that market for him. I was about to say that he didn't sign a long-term deal, but there may just not be that market for him. He might turn into like a Robert Ory type where you start signing him at the end of his contract. You sign him every year and you'll trade him to a contender. If you're a contender, you'll keep him, right?
If the Giants are falling off, he'll be spun at the deadline faster than you can say it. And he'll go to a contender and bam.
Right.
I mean, I remember there was talk when, it was silly talk, but some people were like, if the Braves can't start competing after they trade for Jack Peterson, they might turn around and trade him again. Last year they were talking. So, he was and then we've seen what the Braves did, obviously, but, adds to your point.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into our brackets. Have y'all filled out your brackets, by the way?
Yes, sir. I put it in your pool.
Okay. So we're just having fun. I didn't get organized this year. Normally I have like a $5 or $10, winner take all, but I didn't get it organized this year. This free agency thing absolutely has consumed me. So I was lucky to remember, oh yeah, I guess I had to start a bracket. In fact, 4 or 5 people were asking me about it today, and I was like,
hey, you said we couldn't do a 3-hour show today, though. We could have done a 3-hour show.
Oh yeah. I'm just trying to everyone have a life. Right?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But oh god, yeah, you could do 3 hours on the NFL free agency alone.
Correct.
And another 3 on baseball, and I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes on the ball game tonight.
We'll give it a half hour.
But okay, so I'm curious to see who are your Final Fours.
All right,
Joey, go first.
All right, let's start it off. So I had a couple of drafts go through, and surprisingly, 2 surprises before I reveal my 4. No number 1 seeds I have in my Final Four, and nobody lower than a 6. So I'll start in the upper left region. I have Duke coming out there. I don't have them advancing the championship game. I just think they will win a few in Coach K's last year. I know they struggled to end the season. They haven't done so well in their conference tournament, but I still think they come out where a lot of people have them losing to Texas Tech because of their good defense. I feel like Duke will make the Final Four this year. In the bottom left, I got Purdue. I'm huge on them. I love what Ivy does for them. He's a takeover player. He gets to the rack, and that's not even mentioning their 7-footer in Edie, but they just have, to me, 2 of the top 20 to 25 players in the game right now, and that can always be explosive. And then I have Villanova in the top right is the 2 seed, and Iowa, who won the Big Ten tournament. I like the way they can score. I think they put a lot of pressure on teams with all the offense. They just take it to another level offensively, which usually you don't see in the Big Ten. So I got Duke, Purdue, Villanova, and Iowa, and Purdue over Villanova in the championship. I got Big Ten Purdue cutting down the Nets this year.
All right, Tones, what about you?
Yeah, I got last year's championship rematches, one of my semifinals and one of the Final Fours. I got Gonzaga and Baylor, 2 1 seeds. Both are just powerhouses. Gonzaga, the best team in college basketball, perhaps. And I don't see them having any trouble getting to where they need to be, quite frankly. And then Baylor, they've just played unreal, consistent basketball. Their BPI ranked as 7th. Versus top 25 teams, a very good 5-3 record. And, their defense is very solid, holding the teams around 62 points per game. I like them a lot to come out of their conference. And then on the right-hand side of things, I got Tennessee over Auburn in that hemisphere of the Final Four. I think Tennessee, led by head coach Bruce Pearl, has done a tremendous job this year, especially in the SEC tournament and whatnot. And then Auburn, they're just one of those knit and grit teams. They were ranked number 1 in the country for a couple of weeks in the middle of the college basketball season. And, they had a very good conference record at 15-3, top 25, 3-2. And then in the championship, I got Tennessee over Gonzaga.
Wow. Okay. I thought I was going on a limb putting Tennessee in the Final Four. So I'll make it quick because I know we're coming up on time. I've got Gonzaga, UCLA, Tennessee, and Iowa. I've been riding the Iowa train for a hot minute. I actually put I put a bet in Vegas for them to win the Big Ten title, which
nice.
I hit them and I hit Tennessee.
Woo.
Which paid off well. I've watched UCLA, Arizona a couple times this year, and I really think UCLA is a really good team. Remember, they made a deep run last year. I just feel like they're going to end up cutting down the nets. Gonzaga, I don't know, but they'll find a way not to win. And so I can't take Gonzaga to go all the way. I've got Gonzaga beating UCLA beating Gonzaga, and then UCLA beating Tennessee for the national championship. Now, with that being said, Tennessee losing early wouldn't shock me because they do live on the perimeter, and that's the part that scares me. But we'll move on from that. Give me a couple of teams real quick before we get out of here. Joey, I'll start with you. Give me 2 teams that you think is going to bust brackets, lose early, that are highly ranked. we'll say 5 seed or higher, that they won't make it to the second weekend.
Okay, well, just taking it straight from my bracket, the couple I have right now is South Dakota State being Providence. I've watched a decent amount of their conference this year, and I just haven't been overwhelmed by what Providence has done. So I have them losing right away to South Dakota State.
Wow.
And another upset I have, that's 10-7, so that's not going to quite cut it. But I like the winner of Rutgers on D to also beat Alabama. I know that might not be as big as my Providence upset, but I look for whoever wins tonight's game to actually win another game.
Well, Alabama doesn't really count. Aren't they just like a 6 seed?
Yeah, and I gave my 4 seed. I was looking if I had to pick another one where in the 5 range.
Who's the first 1 seed to go?
I think Kansas.
Okay. Tones, what say you on the matter?
I got 2 upsets brewing myself. First big upset I have is UAB over Houston. UAB are the champions out of Conference USA. They're a 12 seed. Houston is a very good 5 seed. Me and Joey watched them win their conference championship, and they did it in pretty good fashion over Memphis. But the thing with UAB is they could put points on the board, scoring 81 a game, only let up 66 a game. And they were just one of those grit teams. And I watched their Conference USA championship run. They had a lot of fight in them.
Oh, man, the semis, dude. MTSU should have had that game. I was pissed.
Triple overtime.
Yes, there were some terrible, terrible calls that went against MTSU. I was ticked off.
Yeah, it was a shady game for sure. I will say that, but UAB ended up victorious. So I think that they might keep their hot hand going and maybe take out Houston. Then the other upset I love this one. I think Vermont against Arkansas is all day. Arkansas has kind of been one of those teams who's been all season long. And Vermont's one of the better little dog teams in the country. They won their conference championship game by about 50 points. And on defense, they're only letting up 60 points a game. And their BPI
I'll do you one better. I think Vermont's going to get to the Sweet 16. I think they're going to knock off UConn.
Wow.
They're going to put a scare into Gonzaga. I wasn't bold enough to take them because you take a 13 seed to like the grade 8, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, they lost in the first round. What did I just do? But
let's go Arkansas.
But Vermont, Arkansas should be a really fun one.
Should be a fun tournament overall.
So my teams that I think are gonna die on the vine really, really quickly. Number one, I'm gonna throw at you. Southern Cal is gonna have more of a problem with Miami. If they can get past Miami, Southern Cal is gonna knock off Auburn. But
I don't hate that.
I think Auburn can beat Miami, but I think Southern Cal is going to make it to the Sweet 16. I actually have Southern Cal making it all the way to the regional finals, losing to Iowa. The other one that I will throw at you, where's the I got Loyola Chicago knocking out Villanova.
So do I. Oh no, I don't. I lied. Sorry.
I like Loyola Chicago a lot. I think their first round matchup's a really good one for them against Ohio State. Ohio State's a team that gets down early and just can't seem to come back. I think Loyola is going to start the tournament on the right foot and never look back.
Who do you think is the 1 seed that gets out first?
Me, the first 1 seed.
Yep.
I think it's going to be probably. It's not going to be Arizona. It's probably not going to be Gonzaga. So I am leaning towards Kansas just because they always seem to choke.
I think Kansas.
I'll tell you the team that could knock them out is Creighton. Creighton's scary, but I definitely have Iowa knocking out Kansas.
Same here.
Baylor, I think, has kind of an easy road, but watch out if St. Mary's or UCLA get that far to play Baylor. Baylor could struggle.
Yeah, I have Providence knocking out Kansas, so I'm right there with you fellas.
I'll tell you another team that I've got going pretty far. Is that a shock? I guess that is kind of a shock. Virginia Tech beating Texas, beating Purdue, and scaring the living crap out of Kentucky. I almost wanted to pick them to beat Kentucky, but when I'm like, dude, you can't just everything can't be topsy-turvy.
I got the same thing. I got Virginia Tech taking down Tennessee, then I got them taking down Purdue as well. I think Virginia Tech likes those two matchups a lot, and they have an opportunity there. I also like Iowa State's opportunity against LSU in the first round and Wisconsin in the second round. I think Iowa State can make some noise as well.
I love the fact that Sister Jean is there. She'll be 103 years old if she makes it to August.
The legend lives on.
It would be awesome if we could get an Illinois Loyola rematch, but unfortunately that would have to get to the Elite Eight, so that's probably not happening. But it'd be awesome to see a rematch.
Before we run out of here, how far does Illinois make it? Since y'all some Chicago guys, I have my biggest doubt against them. But I haven't watched them. I'll be honest, I haven't watched them, except I watched the Big Ten tournament, but that was it.
You know what? They have one of the best individual talent teams. If you take them from 1 to 8, you see a lot of individual talent there. Now, they always don't come together and play the best of games, but to me, they have the most ready to go, almost NBA quote unquote type of team. I have them going. It's tough for them to get past Arizona. I remember that game from way back in the day, 15, 20 years ago. We all do the overtime classic where Illinois came all the way back. So I have them going to the Elite 8 as a homer, but realistically, probably the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I see Sweet 16.
I think they've got an easy road until they hit Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They do, and I think that's where their luck ends as well. Nothing against U of I. They're a pretty solid team, but they're one of those teams where they kind of rely on one big guy, and then the rest of their team's kind of meh. That's why
there's a couple of things that almost always happen. A 12 almost always.
That's very true. They have one big guy, Coburn, and other than that, it's a bunch.
They got a good deep team. That's just false.
It's not too deep, or they would have won the Big Ten.
I mean,
well. Okay, a 12 almost beats a 5 every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Give me a 12 that's going to beat that 5.
UAB over Houston. I'll stick with that one, even though I like Houston, but UAB's hot.
I'm going to go Indiana.
Indiana.
Yep.
It's an interesting one. I haven't watched a lot of Indiana. I watched the game last night. I wasn't that impressed in St. Mary's is good, man.
Indiana's offense is kind of niche.
I don't think anyone knows how good St. Mary's is because they always play at 2 a.m. Eastern time. It's
I have them making a run. I honestly thought about taking St. Mary's to go pretty, like almost really, really far.
If I wasn't so big on UCLA, I would have had them making a run. But they play UCLA second round if they both make it.
I was thinking really hard about taking St. Mary's over Baylor. That was a judgment call for me.
You know who's probably going to be the biggest disappointment is Duke.
Yep.
The reason why I say that is people have unrealistic expectations about Duke because they're a 2 seed and it's Duke and it's Coach K's last run. And look, I'll pull for him. But you know what's the most Duke thing to do is to get knocked out early by Tom Izzo and Michigan State. And they have to play them in the second round if the two of them make that far.
And then Coach K says, just kidding, and comes back again.
Yeah. He goes all Tom Brady. Goes, nah, man, I'm back.
But he had his whole ceremony and everything too. So, that's just. But that's gonna be a great matchup with Tom Izzo. I hope that happens.
I think all these older coaches are gonna start dipping. Thinking like, it's exhausting, dude. Everyone's one and done. I have to every year I've got to show everyone where their dorm room is. It's ridiculous. That's a young man's game. But yeah, I'm excited. Let's do turn back times real quick, and then we will jump off of here with the I've let this run too far. Yes, I see it blinking, y'all. The stupid station.
We're having fun.
I know, man. It's like you said, we go for 3 hours here. Here we go. All right. Turn back time on this date in 1900. It's 122 years ago today. The junior circuit, the American League meet in Chicago, and Van Johnson announces the American League will be the Chicago White Stockings, Senators of Washington, Milwaukee Brewers, Detroit Tigers, Cleveland Blues, Boston Americans, which later became the Red Sox, and the Philadelphia A's, which became Oakland, and the Baltimore Orioles, which eventually became defunct, and they renamed the Oriole team later on down the road. Baltimore Orioles ended up going to St. Louis. All right. Also on this date, real quick, in 1994, former major leaguer Eric Schau dies of an accidental overdose in his hotel room, private rehab center. 37-year-old right-hander finished with an 11-year career with Oakland. There's a lot of stuff to read through there, but what is he most known for? Eric Schau was the guy that gave up the base hit to Pete Rose that broke the record, and he sat on the mound during the celebration. He said he never got over it. And obviously not. 8 years later, he OD'd, which is ridiculous. You give up a single in a meaningless game in the middle of the season. Birthdays. Here's a good one. How about Rodney Pete? I don't know how many of the younger kids know who Rodney Pete is, but Rodney Pete was a Southern Cal Trojan quarterback, played for the Lions, what he's most known for because he was drafted by the Lions, but also played for the Cowboys, Eagles, Skins, Raiders, and Panthers. And Rodney Pete did pretty good for himself because in 1995, he married Holly Robinson. And if you don't know who Holly Robinson is, look her up. She was an actress model, and they are still together to this day. And that was one of the few.
Wow.
That is one of the few celebrity marriages in Los Angeles that actually made it. Also 41 years old. No, he's 42. Just hasn't been updated. 42 years old today. Todd Heap. Remember Todd Heap? Tight end.
Yep. Heap.
Two-time Pro Bowler. Also was an All-Pro or second-team All-Pro. And he's in the Ravens Ring of Honor. And when I read this, I was like, dude, that guy's been gone for 10 years. I'm telling you guys, the older I get, I still remember it all, but it always seems much closer than objects appear much closer in the mirror. If you asked me how long Todd Heap had been out, I'd have been guessing like 2015, 2016. I was like, he ain't been gone that long. 10 years that guy's been gone. What is your walk-off for the day, Mr. Joey Ariola?
Walk-off for the day is, hey, especially in the Midwest, this is the last week of hopefully the bad weather. Take it all in, set your TVs up, park for March Madness along the way with free agent news. We don't have many of these left before the, better weather starts to come around and we head towards summer. So truly take this weekend in and just enjoy it from tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We start off with Michigan, Colorado State through Sunday. Enjoy it, everybody.
By the way, it's a 1-year, $6 million deal to the Giants for Peterson. Tones, what is your walk-off, sir?
Since Joey went with March Madness, I'll go with free agency. Although a lot of names have signed throughout MLB and NFL, there's still a lot of good names that remain in each sport, and teams are still looking to add pieces to the puzzle in each sport. You still have superstars available on the market in free agency and trades for each sport, and crazy stuff seems to pop up every hour. So you young guns, especially who love Twitter out there, keep refreshing those feeds. Just because it's Wednesday doesn't mean the news is ending soon. I'd say until about Friday night, Saturday, you got to keep refreshing like crazy.
If I had one hope out there, because Greinke went to Kansas City, for people that missed that, that one kind of went under the radar this afternoon. I was hoping the Braves were going to sign him and have him be able to go bullpen during the postseason. If I have one hope, it's Soler comes back to Atlanta as well. But I just don't know if they're going to be able to afford him because they've gone out and spent a lot of money, I think. And they also, this one under the radar today, they signed Dickerson, the left-handed outfielder.
Corey Dickerson.
Yeah, Alex.
Alex Dickerson.
Yeah. And so it's a major league deal if he makes the team. It's not guaranteed, but I don't know if that means that they're done. But, man, they've got to do something in that outfield because you can't have freaking Ozuna's steroided ass up there trying to play defense. He's got a DH, man. You got to sit down.
I'll take Soler and Wrigley if not. Great bat.
Yeah, well, that's the one Marlin rumor I've seen all week. And I've been when I say I've been locked into this. He's the only name. That's the only team I've seen rumored to. It's unbelievable. My walk-off is just basically enjoy the March Madness. We'll be back Friday. Justin and I will be here Friday. Going forward, this show is on Thursday. but we had to do the Papa, which I think it worked out well because free agency started today.
Absolutely.
But going forward, 6:30 Thursdays, Thirsty Thursday, we'll be right here, and we'll take you all the way to first pitch when the season starts. We will be doing games. First game of the season, April 7th, opening day. It looks like that the time will not be changed. It's the only game that's being played at that time. And look out, it's the Braves and Reds. So that should be a fun opening day. Which, by the way, who the hell knows is going to pitch for the Reds? Because look at it.
They don't have
and
throw them away.
Real quick, I could be mistaken, but don't we have a Cubs Rockies game on our schedule?
We do. I believe that's the second game, which is it might be the next week, the following week.
That added a whole element of fun after Chris Bryant signed, and today we got retribution to be had.
Yeah, we were talking about last week's show. Cubs, Rockies, assuming none of this stuff gets changed because we're waiting for the updated regular season because they got to squeeze those 6 games in. But right now, the docket is Cubs, Rockies, 8:40 Eastern on the 14th.
I think they said all those games are officially going to be part in double headers or something like that.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're going to change start times, which could screw things up.
Right. Or
I don't think that's going to be one of them, but you just, I don't want to, I've got the entire thing laid out, but this is before the nonsense went on. So what it looks like is after that Reds Braves on the 7th, we would be doing, looks like we'd be doing, Cubs the next 3 weeks is what it looks like. Cubs Rockies, Cubs Pittsburgh, and Cubs Braves.
Music to my ears.
Bring on the Cubs signings. We could use them.
All right, guys, have a great day, and y'all enjoy the festivities all weekend. We'll be back for 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central. Justin and I will be here for TGIF on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Where the hell is this? I can never find this.
Extra footage, baby.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. Good morning. It's time. There he goes. The key is to have your glasses on, but I refused to grab them. I was like, no, I'm just gonna squint and hope I hit the right button. Bye.
Hey, you made it.
See you next Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another